Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial today. I'm doing a special tutorial with a big shout out and a big thank you to the Yarn Whisperer on Instagram for sending me this gorgeous 100% Wensleydale yarn in the colourway of Petroleum Sky, which I got to name myself for winning a competition. So thank you very much. I have used some of it already for figuring this tutorial out, which I'm dedicating to you guys. It came with these really nice little tags on. It did come in a hank, so I rewound it. So it's called Petroleum Sky. It's 100% Wensleydale DK. And all the washing instructions is on their website, and their Instagram is the Yarn Whisperer. So each skein I received two, thank you very much. Came with these absolutely stunning little skull stitch markers, or you could even use them as little charms. I'll put them on your keyring. But no, I absolutely love them. So unique, and they're just quite fun. So I'm just going to pop these two little bone heads to one side. So what you're going to need today is a darning needle, a pair of snips, some DK yarn. I'm using this one today because I just think it's lovely, but you can basically use any DK, and I'm also using a 4mm crochet hook. So follow on for the rest of this video and we will get started in just a moment. Right then, so with our 4mm crochet hook and our chosen yarn, we are going to put on a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 40. That one's 30. And that one's 40. So we have a chain of 40 there. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go straight through, and what we're going to do is we're going to place in one single crochet into each stitch. So I'm going to put on one extra chain stitch, and then single crochet back down my chain row. It just gives a nice little foundation to start on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all these off camera, and then I will be back. Right, so now we have 40 single crochets down our chain row. What we're going to do is we are just going to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and turn our work. And in this very first stitch right here, we're going to put in 2 double crochets. Oops. Just in there, like that. So there's 1, and there's 2. Right, without chaining, we're just going to carry on. So we're going to skip 2 single crochets down into this third one. We're going to place in 3 double crochets. So it's like a beginning row of a granny stitch is this. And then again, without chaining, just going to miss 2 and go into this third stitch with 3 double crochet. So what we're going to do is we're going to carry on across the row using this pattern. So it's 3 double crochet in one stitch, and then miss 2, and then in the third it's 3 double crochet to make these shells. So carry on, and I will meet you at the end of the round. Right, right. Excuse me. So I'm just coming up to the end of my row. So we have 2, and then I'm going into this very last one right here with 3 double crochets. If I can get in there, it's kind of hiding around the back. So there's 1, 2 and 3. Right, so that's our next row completed. Love how this colour's looking. Kind of got this kind of lime greens and this kind of like steely colours running through this. It's absolutely lovely. Right, so what we're going to do now is I am going to chain 3, turn my work, and in what I'm going to do now is in each space I'm going to do a double crochet and then a triple crochet and a double crochet just in this same space. The middle one is going to be a post stitch round the single crochet underneath. So I'll show you a couple and then you'll get the idea of what we're doing. So just going straight through this big gap here with a double crochet, and then I'm going to yarn over twice now, and then I'm going to do a front post stitch through the double crochet right here, through the single crochet right there, through that first row what we did. So it kind of connects onto the underneath row. Then the next double crochet and a triple crochet, so yarn over twice and go through and underneath this single crochet from 2 rows back. And onto the next big gap. So it's basically the same as doing a granny stitch, apart from we're just changing this middle stitch and popping it in elsewhere. Yeah, the initial pattern's still very much the same. Right, so I'm going to do to the end of a row off camera now, but you get the idea of where I'm heading with this. So I will see you in a few moments. Right, just coming up to the end of this row, so I've got one more space left, so again, a double crochet goes right in there, followed by a triple in the single crochet underneath. Always helps if you kind of pinch your stitches, especially if you're using quite a fine yarn. And then since we've run out of gaps and we only have a shell on the end, what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, and I am just going to place in a double crochet into the third chain of the last stitch. So that should be round about here. It's a bit loopy as this one. 1, 2, and if I can get through that. There we go. And then that makes the gap what we need to work into. So then what we're going to do is chain 3, turn our work, and then what I'm going to do is just figure out, do we work into there? Yes we do. So what we're going to do is automatically we're just going to yarn over twice, and in this middle double underneath, straight underneath this gap, we're going to do a triple. So it's like a front post triple under this. And then in the corner gap again, a double. So it does look a bit funny the way it kind of splays out to this side, but that's just how I'm holding it. So if you look at it like this, it's just going to make our shell into this first section. it does pull back over a little bit. So we're just going to work the exact same again. So we're just going to do in each space along a double, then a triple, but into this shell underneath now, into round the middle double crochet there. So no chain stitches, no nothing. You know, it's just all the same. Just a nice and easy tutorial for everyone today. I have been panning one last night, which is going to be a little bit special. So you're going to have to keep checking back on my channel for that one. I'm not going to give anything away apart from it involves a little bit of funky fur. So that could be anything. Right, so I'm going to carry on until I get to the end of the row, and then I'll be back to show you how we finish this row and then give you instructions on how to carry on with this pattern. Right, so just coming up to the end of this row now, I just need a little bit more yarn out. And what we're going to do is just carry on. So you can see we've got a shell underneath here still. So into this big corner space, a double crochet, triple crochet and a double. Make sure you get into the right gap. You do have to pull it off to one side slightly. Right, on to the next round. Chain 3. Turn. And then we're just going to work exactly the same. So into this first gap right here. It is a little tricky to see this pattern, but as you can see, you know, we're starting to make this really nice pattern there. So into the first gap again, we're just going to do one double, yarn over twice, and then we're going to go around this big long post stitch underneath it, right there. And we're just going to continue this for each row into the next gap. Through this big long, underneath this big long post stitch underneath. This is where it starts getting a little bit easier actually, because we're quite easy to grab and work around. And then a double back into that same space. So just continue on until you get to the end. And I will meet you back there. Right, just coming up to the end of this row now. You should all be getting the idea of how it works. So double crochet, triple crochet, double crochet. Then, since we don't have any more spaces to go into, you're just going to go into the top of the end stitch with a double crochet. Right, so that's basically the repeating pattern. What we're going to be doing, it is pretty much the same on both sides. Don't worry about that. It just adds a little extra thickness to your material because these are going to be the top of our arm warmers. So what you're going to do is we're going to carry on working until they are wide enough to go from about here to about there. So I think for me it's going to be about another 5 or 6 rows in total. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop off and finish doing enough rows until we get to here, and then we will move on to what we're going to do next. So carry on stitching, guys, and take your time, or if you're in a rush, drink more coffee. So I will see you in a few minutes. Right, so in total I've got about 10 rows here. So this is just enough to cover the back of my hand. And what I want to do now is just add an extra kind of like bit what's going to kind of go on here. Just to give it a little bit more movement around this part of my hand here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work down to about there in the same stitch. So I'll do this on camera for you. So again, chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, turn. This is a good thing about this stitch is it is the same front and back, so it's going to be the same, just about the same instructions to make the other side, to make the other sleeve also. I'll get my words mixed up again today. Right, so since we've got this underneath, so we're just going to pop a extended shell in there. It's a lovely stitch also is this because it makes it nice and warm because it's kind of like double thickness as a normal granny stitch because of these post stitches on here. So I'm just working back down. I'm going a little bit quicker than I was at the beginning of the video because you should know what you're doing by now. So I think after this one, I'm just going to then check it to make sure I'm in the right place. So I don't want it too wide on that. I want the hand part to be wider, and then I don't want where my wrist and my arm is to get much wider for the top of it, because otherwise it's not going to hold up and it's just going to end up really baggy. So this is a good way to see how they're going to fit. So as you can see, they're just a little bit wider than my hand there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to not go any further on this row. So I've got a slight tangle there. I'm just going to undo this. Bear with me. There we go. And instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the next space, and I'm just going to pop in a slip stitch there. Then I'm going to chain 1. So I'm just kind of rejigging the pattern which I did earlier. I'm going to chain 1, and what I'm going to do is I am just going to single crochet up to the top of this row. Right, so I've single crocheted to the end of that row, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So this is where we start to make the thumb now, and this is going to be, just trying to work this out now. Yeah, since the patterns be the same front and back, we can actually make each of these the same, so you don't have to do any different for the left side or the right side, because if you have a look at that, this pattern would work to make this left side, and if we flip it over it looks the same and it would make the right side also. So this is what what's just taken me a little bit of working out to see if it would actually do that, and yes it does. So I don't have to I only have to make one on camera, so you don't have to do anything different for the second one, thank Christ. So without without any more talking and carrying on, let's just move straight on. So what I'm going to do now is we are going to start doing single crochet just for this row, one in each stitch until you get to where you want your thumb. So I'm just going to good way to see where you need it is just to do it a little bit before your thumb. So I'll count these out. So that's so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then what I'm going to do is stop. I'm going to do 14, 12, 13, 14, and then I want to skip down here, so this makes our thumb hole, and these are going to be quite long on the fingers of these gloves. As you can see, they're going to finish right up here, which is going to be nice. So what we're going to do is just some chain stitches. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm just going to stop at 7 and see how far that goes. And this is a good way to see how if they're going to fit. So yeah, I'm just going to pop in an extra one. So I've got 8 there. And then you want to skip 8 stitches. They are a bit difficult to see because we're right on the edge of this here, but just bear with it. So another thing you can also do is just see where it goes to and just pin it with a slip stitch. As long as it's not bunching up your fabric like this, it should be alright. So again, I'm just going to pop my thumb in there just to have a look. Oops, that's just come undone. Let's just do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, so they're gonna be quite long gloves there, and I think I just want to make that a little bit bigger. I think. No, I'll leave it like that. They'll stretch out. It's fine. Right. So what we're gonna do is just gonna carry on down this row, doing a single crochet in each stitch. Just bear in mind that we are working into the top of these here, so it can be a little difficult to see. So just bear with it. Oh, it's twisting round on me today. Right. So I'm just going 1 single crochet into each stitch. And one's just going to land in the top of this chain 3 on the end. Right, next round what we're going to do is we are just going to chain 1, turn, and we're going to half double crochet right across the row. When you get to this hole, if you have 8 chain stitches, you're going to put in 8 half double crochets. If you have 5, you're going to put in 5. So make sure you end up with the same amount of stitches as what we started with. So we started with 40. If you end up with like 41, 42, just go back and just unpick it a little bit and put in a couple of decreases. For this row, it doesn't really matter. So I will see you back there. I just thought I'd come back and just show you what I'm doing around the thumb hole here. So what I'm going to do is I'm still working half double crochets. I'm going to go into this next stitch where we join our chain. And then, because I don't want it to go too gappy, I'm going to go into this little space here. So this is stitch number 20. And then I had 8 chains, so I'm going to do 8 chains round, 8 half double crochets round this chain stitch. So I'm not going into it because I want this to be a little bit stronger. So I'm just going round. Six, 7. These will spread apart a little bit, as you can see. And then my last one, I'm just going to go straight into this stitch here, and then we're just going to carry on. So I'm just going to do a quick count. So 9. So that's 28. I'm on 29. I think I have slightly too many stitches in here, but hey, it'll be fine. Right, I'm just going to do a quick count on this, in case I do need to change anything. No, I'm actually spot on with that. So yeah, brilliant. It just didn't look right for a second. Right, now for the next part, we're going to make the underneath of our fingerless glove. So I'm just going to check the fit on this again. See, it goes on this hand also. Could done with making that a little bit bigger, but hey, just for the sake of this tutorial, it's going to be fine. So what I'm going to do is I am now going to work in rib stitch. So if you've not done rib stitch before or not very familiar with it, we do 1 row of half double crochets to 1 row of single crochet, and we're working in the back loops only. So make sure you go into that very first stitch, so you don't want to be decreasing anything. So with a single crochet into that back loop. And we're going to do the back loops in every single stitch from now on till until the last row, basically. Right, so I'm not going to do the entire of this rib stitch on camera. So when you get to the end, you just chain 1 and then turn and then do a row of half double crochets, then in the back loops. When you get to the end, chain 1 and then you're doing a row of single crochet in the back loops only. That's all we need to do. So basically, I'm going to keep on working, so it'll just snap into like this wide, and I'll tell you how many rows I've got. And I'll tell you a little bit more how to get the right sizing. It's basically by getting the glove on. You can do it this way, and just by stretching your fabric. And if if it feels like it's going to be too baggy, take a few rows out. If it's a little bit too tight, put a couple of rows in. But you do want it a little bit smaller than what you think you're going to need, because over time this will stretch out a little bit. So join me on the next part of the video and we'll see where we get up to. Right, so welcome back. I now have about 12 rows of this really nice rib stitch. So what we're going to do now is we're going to close these up. So if you fold it one way, you're going to end up with a thumb hole. This one's going to be for the right hand because we want this on the top. And if you fold it the other way, you end up making the one for the left, as you can see, because this lovely textured pattern is meant to be for the top of our hand. So I'm just going to fold it in whichever direction I want at the moment. So this way, and I'm just going to go straight through this first stitch on this side and do a nice tight slip stitch. Because then what we're going to do afterwards is turn it inside out, so this slip stitch join can't be seen. So just put one stitch in one side, one stitch in the other, making sure you go through the right one, because otherwise your ends aren't going to match. Just get rid of this little loose end there. So nothing fancy, nice and easy, just one through one side, one through the other. So continue until you get to the end of a row, and then I'll show you what we're doing next. Right, so now we have our slip stitch join in there. All I'm going to do now is re-put my hook on this big loop. I just had to try it on to make sure. And then I'm just going to put a bit of a stitching row around this top. So I'm going to slip stitch into the top one there, chain one. And what I'm going to do is in each of the top of each rows, I'm going to put a half double crochet and then a chain one in between, and then go into the top of the next one, and then a chain one, top of the next row, half double crochet, chain one, top of the next row. What this is going to do is it's just going to create a nice little edge without it being really tight when you put these on. So just a half double crochet, chain one. Just makes this top and bottom edge look a little bit more finished. Right, so without doing any more on this video, because otherwise it's just going to turn into too long, and the problems I always face is never enough storage on my phone, especially for making tutorials. That's all I have to do them on, is my phone with limited capacity. So carry on doing this all the way around. Oh, forgot my chain one there. Do apologise. And then I think it's just going to be a case of spacing them out evenly when you get to the textured top of the gloves. But let's just have a look. So one there. Yeah, it's just going to be a case of space them out evenly. You know, so each chain free, you can put two in there. Just as long as you don't end up doing a massive load of increases or decreases, you know, just keep them evenly spaced out and you should be fine. Oh, excuse me. Wow. I do apologise, but I've done too much of this video to edit that out. Never mind. No, these things do happen. Well, anyway, let's just carry on here. as you can see, I'm not really doing anything fancy, and if you end up too far apart, no, that's alright. If you end up too far apart or too spaced out, just do as you feel, and just do what looks right. It's not set in stone, it's only crochet. And then I'm just going to slip stitch, and that is that. So I'm going to do the exact same for the other side of the cuff, and then you are done. So since this slip stitch join is on the outside, turn it the other side, and wow, it's exactly the same, just like I told you. So this will be for the other hand. And there we have it. Nice warm pair of fingerless gloves. If these are a little bit long for you, they're a little bit on the long side for me, you can just roll them down a little bit and to where they are comfortable. And then all you need to do is put a couple of pins in there and just turn it back the other way and give it just a bit of a whip stitch on the inside, just to make them fit a little better, and it also just gives it a little bit of extra bulkiness around the knuckles there as well. So I did want to make these options to adjust these gloves slightly as well. I absolutely love these colours. Again, thank you to the Yarn Whisperer for choosing the name for its gorgeous colourway called Petroleum Sky. I hope you enjoyed this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you very soon for more tutorials. So that's all from me today. Bye!